The massive holographic projection flickered in the center of the United Earth Defense Command room. Admiral James Thompson stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the alien transmission. Around him, 20 of Earth's highest-ranking military officials sat in stunned silence. High Counselor Marcus, a tall figure with gray skin and eyes that seemed to glow with contempt, looked down at them from the projection. "Your species has been watched, evaluated, and found wanting," he said, his voice carrying the weight of supposed superiority. "Earth will submit to Galactic Council authority within 30 days, or face immediate extinction." Thompson didn't flinch. After 30 years of military service, he had learned to keep his expression neutral even when facing dire threats. Besides, he knew something the Council didn't. "Your primitive weapons and basic space capabilities pose no threat to us," Marcus continued, his lip curling in disgust. "We have observed your petty conflicts, your divided nations, your crude attempts at space exploration. Submit, and we will guide your species to civilization. Resist, and we will remove the threat you pose to galactic peace." The projection vanished, leaving the room in darkness for a moment before the regular lights came back on. General Rogers, a man who had fought in the last war on Earth, was the first to break the silence. "They have no idea, do they, Jim?" Thompson allowed himself a small smile. "No, they don't." He turned to his assembled colleagues. "Initiate Protocol Midnight Sun. Send the coded transmission to Luna Base, Europa Station, and the asteroid belt facilities. It's time to wake up our sleeping giants." Deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, massive hangar doors began to open. Ships that had never seen combat, but had been meticulously maintained for decades, powered up their systems. In the icy depths of Europa, similar activities were taking place as humanity's hidden fleet prepared for its first real test. Thompson walked to the window of the command center, looking up at the night sky. The stars seemed different now, knowing what was out there. The Council thought they were dealing with a divided, primitive species. They didn't know about the last war, the one that had finally united Earth. They didn't know how that unity had led to the greatest secret project in human history, the creation of the Terran Defense Fleet. "Send word to Captain Walker," Thompson ordered. "The Defiance needs to be ready for combat operations within 48 hours. He turned back to the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, for 50 years we've prepared for this moment. Since we recovered that crashed alien ship in 2084, we've been building, learning, and adapting their technology. They think we're primitive. Well, they're in for quite a surprise." The room erupted into activity. Officers rushed to their stations, sending encrypted messages to hidden bases across the solar system. On screens around the room, status reports began flowing in. Green lights indicated ships powering up, crews being awakened from their rotation cycles, weapon systems coming online. "Sir," his aide reported, "Luna Base reports the Defiance and her battle group will be ready in 36 hours. Europa Station reports full combat readiness in 40 hours. The asteroid belt facilities are beginning ammunition loading now." Thompson nodded. Humanity had spent half a century preparing for this possibility. The recovered alien ship had been a wake-up call, showing them they weren't alone, and might not be safe. The world had united, not openly, but in secret, pooling resources and minds to prepare for this day. "Send my compliments to High Counselor Marcus," Thompson said with a grim smile. "Tell him Earth acknowledges his message and will respond appropriately within the given time frame." He looked around the room at his fellow officers. "Let them think we're scared. Let them think we're primitive. In 30 days, they'll learn what humanity is truly capable of." The stars twinkled innocently above Earth that night, but in hidden bases throughout the solar system, humanity's secret defenders were awakening. The Council had made their threat, expecting submission. Instead, they had just started a chain of events that would reshape the galaxy forever. The ice caves of Europa glowed with artificial light as Captain Lisa Walker walked through the massive underground hangar. Her footsteps echoed off the frozen walls as she approached the Defiance, humanity's most advanced warship. The vessel stretched nearly a kilometer in length, its dark hull absorbing the light from the hangar's illumination strips. "Status report," she called out to her crew, who were busy preparing the ship for launch. They had trained for this moment for years, but now it was real. "Main reactor at 85% and climbing, Captain," reported her engineer through the communication system. "All weapon systems are green. Shield generators are warming up." Walker touched the hull of her ship, feeling the slight vibration of power running through it. The Defiance wasn't just a warship, it was humanity's greatest achievement. Built using a combination of reverse-engineered alien technology and human innovation, it could outfight anything the Council had. Above them, through kilometers of ice, Jupiter filled half the sky. The gas giant had been their shield, its radiation helping to hide their activities from the Council's probes. Now it would watch as humanity's fleet emerged from hiding. "Captain," called out her second-in-command, "Admiral Thompson is on the secure line from Luna Base." Walker moved to the command center near the hangar's entrance. The holographic display showed Thompson's face, looking more serious than usual. "The Council's ships are moving, Captain," he said. "Their patrol fleet just passed Mars. They think they're being sneaky, positioning forces before their deadline expires." He smiled slightly. "They have no idea they're being watched by our quantum sensors." "How many ships, sir?" Walker asked, already planning battle strategies in her head. 30 vessels, mostly medium-class warships. They think it's more than enough to handle a primitive species. Thompson's image flickered slightly. "Show them how wrong they are, Captain." "The Defiance leads the first battle group. You launch in 6 hours." Walker nodded. "We'll be ready, sir." "How are the other facilities doing?" "The asteroid belt ships are already moving into position, hidden in the debris field. Luna Base launched our stealth observers an hour ago." Thompson's expression hardened. "The Council thinks Earth stands alone. Time to show them the full strength of the Terran fleet." The transmission ended, and Walker turned to her crew. "Battle stations. I want every system checked and double-checked. We launch in 5 hours." Throughout the massive underground base, similar scenes were playing out. Ships that had never seen the light of day powered up their engines. Crews who had trained in simulators for years moved with practiced efficiency. In hidden hangars across the solar system, humanity's secret defenders prepared for war. The Defiance was just one of 50 ships built in the Europa facility. Similar numbers waited in the asteroid belt, and more lurked beneath the lunar surface. 150 warships, built over 50 years of secret preparation. Walker watched from the command center as the first ships began moving into the launch tunnels. Teams of engineers disconnected power feeds and removed maintenance equipment. The massive ice doors at the top of the tunnels began to open, creating a clear path to space. "Message from Fleet Command," her communications officer reported. "All ships are to maintain emission control until we clear Jupiter's radiation belt. The Council's sensors are still blind to our presence." Walker smiled. The Council thought they were dealing with a helpless planet, one that would either submit or be crushed. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity hadn't spent the last 50 years sitting idle. They had built, prepared, and waited for this moment. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the ship-wide channel. "In 5 hours, we show the galaxy that humanity will not bow to threats. We've trained for this. Every simulation, every drill has prepared us for today. Make ready for launch." The Defiance hummed with power as its systems came fully online. Deep in Europa's ice caves, humanity's hidden fleet was awakening, ready to change the galaxy forever. Lieutenant Robert Mitchell's stealth ship drifted silently through space, its advanced cloaking system making it invisible to the Council's sensors. His small crew watched their displays as they approached the massive Council monitoring station near Saturn's rings. The station looked like a silver spider web, its delicate sensors stretched out to watch Earth's system. Time to show them how primitive humans really are, Mitchell said quietly. His ship, the Shadow, carried humanity's most advanced electronic warfare systems. They had spent years studying Council technology, learning its weaknesses, preparing for this moment. Through the viewing screen, he could see other Council monitoring stations in the distance, all part of their network to watch Earth. The Council thought these stations were hidden. They didn't know that humans had found them years ago. All teams report ready, his second-in-command whispered, though in space no one could hear them anyway. It was an old habit from their training days. Mitchell nodded. Send the signal. All ships begin Phase 1. Across the solar system, 12 other stealth ships just like the Shadow moved into position. Each one approached a different Council monitoring station. The Council had built these stations thinking they were safe, thinking humans couldn't reach this far into space. They were wrong. Electronic warfare systems powered up, reported his technology officer, ready to begin transmission on your order. Mitchell took a deep breath. This was the moment they had trained for. Execute. The Shadow and all other stealth ships sent out carefully designed energy pulses. These pulses contained computer codes that humans had created after years of studying the Council's systems. The codes slipped through the Council's defenses like they weren't even there. On his screen, Mitchell watched as one by one, the monitoring station's lights began to flicker. The Council's mighty sensor network was being blinded by human hackers. "Sir," called out his sensor officer, "Council ships are changing course. They've detected something's wrong with their stations." Mitchell smiled. "Right on schedule. Begin Phase 2. The Shadow's special weapon powered up, a device that could copy and replace sensor data. While Council ships raced to check their monitoring stations, Mitchell's team began feeding false information into the network. The Council would see exactly what humans wanted them to see. Nothing. Message from Admiral Thompson, his communications officer reported. The Defiance battle group has cleared Jupiter's radiation belt. Captain Walker reports all ships running silent. Everything was going according to plan. While Mitchell's stealth ships blinded the Council's sensors, the main fleet would move into position. The Council's ships would have no idea what was coming until it was too late. Council ships are responding exactly as predicted, reported his tactical officer. They're splitting up to check each monitoring station. Their fleet formation is breaking apart. Mitchell watched as the Council ships scattered across space, each one rushing to check a different station. They were doing exactly what humanity wanted, dividing their forces. "Send word to Admiral Thompson," Mitchell ordered. "Phase 1 and 2 complete. The Council is blind, and their ships are scattered. The Terran fleet has a clear path." His crew worked quietly and efficiently, keeping the false data flowing into the Council's systems. On their screens, they could see the massive shapes of the Terran fleet moving through space, completely invisible to Council sensors. "Sir," called out his sensor officer, detecting a transmission from the Council flagship to their homeworld. "They're requesting reinforcements." Mitchell's smile grew wider. "By the time those reinforcements arrive, we'll have already changed the game. Keep our cloaking systems at full power. We need to stay hidden just a little longer." The Shadow drifted silently in space, its crew watching as humanity's plan unfolded. The Council had threatened Earth, thinking they faced a primitive species. Instead, their own advanced technology was being used against them by the very humans they had underestimated. "Message from Captain Walker," reported his communications officer. "The Defiance battle group is in position. They're ready to show the Council what humanity can really do." Mitchell nodded. Phase 3 was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Axel of the Galactic Council stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, the Starhammer, watching his tactical display with growing confusion. Half of their monitoring stations had gone dark, and the other half were showing conflicting data. "Find out what's happening," he ordered his crew. "Where are these sensor problems coming from?" Before anyone could answer, new alerts flashed across his screen. A massive energy signature had just appeared near Jupiter. Impossible. The humans couldn't have ships that big. On board the Defiance, Captain Walker watched as her fleet dropped their stealth systems. 150 warships appeared in space like ghosts becoming solid. All ships, battle formation Delta, she ordered. Show them what we can do. The Council fleet turned to face this unexpected threat. Commander Axel's voice boomed across all channels. Impossible. Earth has no such fleet. Surrender now, or... Walker cut off his transmission with a wave of her hand. All ships, execute battle plan Thunder. Let's show them how primitive humans fight. The Terran fleet moved with perfect coordination. 50 years of training was about to pay off. The Council ships, still scattered from checking their monitoring stations, struggled to form a proper battle line. Enemy ships launching fighters, reported Walker's tactical officer. 300 small craft incoming. Walker nodded calmly. Launch our drone swarms. From the Terran ships poured thousands of small unmanned craft. Each one carried advanced AI systems that humans had developed in secret. The Council fighters, expecting easy targets, flew straight into a trap. The space around Jupiter lit up with weapons fire. Council fighters exploded by the dozens as human drones outmaneuvered them easily. The Council pilots had never faced anything like these AI-controlled craft. Council capital ships moving to engage, called out Walker's sensor officer. They're charging their main weapons. Activate quantum shields, Walker ordered. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega. The Terran fleet split into smaller groups, moving in ways the Council ships couldn't match. Human ships had been built knowing exactly what they would face. Every weakness in Council technology had been studied and planned for. Commander Axel watched in horror as his fleet's weapons splashed harmlessly against the human ship shields. Impossible. Their shield technology, it's more advanced than ours. The Defiance led the charge, its main guns firing with devastating accuracy. Council ships that had never been defeated before found themselves being torn apart by human weapons they didn't understand. Sir, one of Axel's officers shouted, they're using Jupiter's gravity. They're forcing us into. Too late, Axel realized the trap. The human fleet had pushed them back toward Jupiter's strongest gravity field. Council ships, their engines already strained from battle, struggled against the gas giant's pull. All ships, full power to engines. Axel ordered desperately, break free from the gravity well. But the humans had planned for this. Mitchell's stealth ships decloaked behind the Council fleet, their electronic warfare systems scrambling engine controls. Council ships, their power systems confused by human cyber attacks, began to drift. Walker watched from the Defiance's bridge as the mighty Council fleet fell into chaos. Target their flagship, she ordered. Let's send a message they won't forget. The Defiance's main gun charged up, its barrel glowing with energy. The weapon was of human design, more powerful than anything the Council had. The shot struck the star hammer directly, cutting through its shields like they weren't there. Council ships are retreating, reported Walker's tactical officer. They're jumping away to faster than light speed. The battle was over. Where once floated a proud Council fleet, now drifted only debris. The humans had won their first space battle, and they had won it decisively. Send word to Admiral Thompson, Walker ordered. Tell him Phase 3 is complete. The Council now knows we can fight. As the Terran fleet regrouped, emergency signals were already racing across Council space. Humanity wasn't just ready for war. They were winning it. Dr. Anna Torres walked through the gleaming halls of the Galactic Council station, her footsteps echoing on the polished floor. 2 armed Council guards followed her, but they weren't really guards. They were there to watch her. After the battle at Jupiter, the Council wasn't taking any chances with humans. The Council chamber doors opened, revealing a massive circular room. Representatives from 30 alien species sat in rising tiers, all looking down at her. High Counselor Marcus stood at the center platform, his gray face showing barely controlled anger. "You dared to come here after your unprovoked attack?" Marcus demanded, his voice booming through the chamber. Torres smiled calmly. "Unprovoked. You threatened to destroy Earth. We merely showed you that we could defend ourselves." She carried a small data device in her hand. "But I'm not here to argue about the battle. I'm here to show the Council some interesting information." She activated the device. Holograms appeared in the air, showing documents, recordings, and data streams. "For 50 years, we didn't just build ships. We also gathered intelligence." The council chamber erupted in shocked whispers as the evidence appeared. Documents showed how Marcus and his allies had forced other species to join the council, not through diplomacy, but through threats and violence. "Lies," Marcus shouted. "These are human forgeries." "Are they?" Torres asked quietly. She turned to face the other council members. "Ask the Centauri representatives about their peaceful joining of the council. Ask the Rigel worlds about the protection fees they pay. Or better yet," she pressed another button on her device, "listen to your own words, High Counselor." Marcus's voice filled the chamber, from a recording made years ago. "These primitive species exist to serve us. Through force or fear, they will submit to council rule." The chamber exploded into chaos. Council members started shouting, some at Marcus, some at each other. Species that had suffered under council rule for years finally saw proof of what they had always suspected. Torres watched calmly. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. While building their fleet, they had also gathered evidence of council corruption. Every threatened species, every forced submission, every secret deal, humans had found them all. "We did not come to the stars to conquer," Torres announced over the noise. "We came to stop the conquering. Earth offers a different path, a true alliance of equals, not an empire hiding behind pretty words." Several council members stood up, showing their support. They were mostly from younger species, ones that had faced council threats themselves. Marcus watched in growing horror as his support crumbled. "You think this changes anything?" He snarled at Torres. "We still have the largest fleet in the galaxy. We can still crush Earth." "Can you?" Torres asked. She activated one final hologram, showing the positions of human ships throughout Council space. The stealth vessels that had helped win the Battle of Jupiter had been busy. "Your sensors never worked properly around Earth ships. We've been mapping your systems for years." The council members stared at the display in shock. Human ships had penetrated deep into their territory without being detected. Their defenses, which they had thought unbeatable, had failed completely. "Earth offers peace," Torres said to the chamber. "Equal membership in a reformed council, one that protects all species instead of threatening them." Or, she let the threat hang in the air, gesturing to the hologram showing human ships near critical council facilities. One by one, council members began to signal their support for Earth's proposal. Marcus watched helplessly as his power slipped away. The political game he had played for so long was being won by the very humans he had dismissed as primitive. "The council will take a short recess," announced the senior speaker, an alien who had always quietly opposed Marcus. "When we return, we will vote on new leadership and Earth's proposal." Torres smiled as she left the chamber. The battle for humanity's future wasn't just being fought with ships and weapons. Sometimes, the truth was the strongest weapon of all. High Counselor Marcus stood on his new flagship's bridge, watching as his loyal fleet gathered near Mars. Half of the council had turned against him, but he still commanded the loyalty of the military faction. 200 warships, the largest fleet ever assembled, prepared for one final attack on Earth. "The humans think they've won," he told his commanders. "Their fleet is scattered across council space. Earth is vulnerable. We will crush them and show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us." But Earth wasn't as defenseless as he thought. Captain Walker stood on the Defiance's bridge, watching the enemy fleet through their quantum sensors. "They took the bait," she said to Admiral Thompson's hologram. "Just like we planned." Thompson nodded. All those ships we showed them in Council space. Empty ships running on autopilot, making lots of noise. Our real fleet has been hiding right here, waiting for this moment. The Defiance floated in space near Earth's moon, invisible to Council sensors. Around it, 100 human ships waited in perfect silence. They had known Marcus would try one final attack. In fact, they had counted on it. All ships, prepare for combat, Walker ordered. Today we end this. Marcus's fleet moved closer to Earth, their weapons charged. No sign of human ships, his sensor officer reported. Their defenses are minimal. Begin the attack, Marcus ordered. Fire all weapons. The Council ships launched their attack, expecting to hit a helpless planet. Instead, their shots splashed harmlessly against an invisible barrier. What? Marcus shouted. What's happening? Earth had unveiled its greatest secret, a planetary shield, built using technology even the Council didn't have. Before Marcus could give new orders, space itself seemed to ripple around his fleet. Multiple ships appearing. His tactical officer screamed. They're everywhere. The human fleet decloaked, surrounding the Council forces completely. The Defiance led the attack, its advanced weapons tearing through Council shields like paper. How? Marcus demanded. How did they hide so many ships? Walker's voice came over all channels. We learned from the best, High Counselor. You taught us that deception is the greatest weapon. Now let us show you what else we've learned. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Council ships found themselves trapped between the human fleet and Earth's planetary shield. Their weapons, which they had thought superior, barely damaged the human vessels. Launch our new drones, Walker ordered. These weren't the same drones from the Jupiter battle. These were something new, something the Council had never seen. Thousands of small craft swarmed out from the human ships, but instead of attacking, they attached themselves to Council vessels. Each drone carried a device that shut down Council technology, leaving the ships floating helplessly in space. Our weapons aren't working, Council commanders reported in panic. Engines failing. Shields down. Marcus watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically disabled, not destroyed. The humans were carefully avoiding killing when they could. It was a show of power more impressive than simple destruction. Surrender, High Counselor. Walker's voice came again. You've lost. Don't make us destroy ships we could save. The Council fleet, once the most powerful force in the galaxy, now floated powerless in Earth's orbit. Marcus looked at his dead controls, at his scared crew, and at the human ships that had so completely outmatched his forces. For the first time in his life, Marcus felt truly defeated. I surrender. The battle was over. Earth had won not just through superior technology or tactics, but through careful planning and the ability to show mercy even in victory. Walker looked at her tactical display, now showing hundreds of surrendered Council ships. Send word to Dr. Torres at the Council station, she ordered. Tell her Phase 6 is complete. Earth is ready for the final step. Peace. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, the new Galactic Alliance headquarters sparkled in Earth's orbit. The massive space station, built through cooperation between humans and alien species, represented everything the old Council had failed to be. Admiral Thompson stood at the station's main viewport, watching ships from 30 different species come and go freely. Next to him, Dr. Torres reviewed reports on her datapad. The last of Marcus's supporters surrendered yesterday, she said. The transition is finally complete. Thompson nodded. And our technology sharing program. Going better than expected. 20 species have joined the exchange. Turns out when you offer to work together instead of threatening people, they respond well. Torres smiled. The Centauri were particularly impressed by our quantum shields. The station's meeting hall was filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Where once the Council had ruled through fear, now the Alliance worked through cooperation. Each species, no matter how advanced, had an equal voice. Captain Walker entered the hall, now wearing the uniform of the new Alliance fleet. The Defiance had become the flagship of a combined fleet, with crews made up of multiple species working together. "The Joint Patrol Fleet is ready," she reported to Thompson. "Human ships working alongside former Council vessels. Something I never thought I'd see." "Times change," Thompson said. "A year ago, they wanted to destroy us. Now they're learning that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or ships. It's our ability to work together." Torres finished. "Something we learned long ago during the last war on Earth." The station's alerts chimed softly. A new ship was arriving, the first of its kind. The viewport showed a vessel of unique design, built by humans and aliens working together. It carried the most advanced technology from a dozen worlds, created not for war, but for exploration. "The Explorer is ready for its first mission," Walker said proudly. "First ship of the new Alliance exploration fleet. We're going beyond known space, looking for new civilizations to welcome, not conquer." Thompson touched the viewport's glass. 50 years ago, we found a crashed alien ship and realized we weren't alone. We could have responded with fear, built weapons just to defend ourselves. Instead we prepared to change the galaxy," Torres continued. "Not through force, but by being ready to show a better way." The Explorer's crew boarded, humans working alongside aliens who had once been their enemies. Each brought their own knowledge, their own skills, their own ways of seeing the universe. "Latest reports from the technology exchange," Torres said, checking her pad. "The Rigel worlds have combined their energy systems with our quantum theory. They've created something entirely new. And the Centauri scientists working with human AI experts. They've made breakthroughs no one could have achieved alone." Walker's communicator beeped. "The Explorer's ready for launch. They want us to give the final authorization." Thompson stepped forward, looking at the gathered representatives of the Alliance. Species that had once fought each other now worked side by side. The old council chamber had been a place of fear and domination. This hall was filled with hope and cooperation. "Send the authorization," he said. Tell them to show the galaxy what we can achieve together." The Explorer's engines glowed bright as it moved away from the station. It carried the best of all their species, not just their technology, but their hopes, their dreams, their desire to learn and grow. "1 year ago, they thought we were primitive," Torres said quietly. "Now we're leading the galaxy into a new age." "Not leading," Thompson corrected. "Showing them that we can all move forward together. That's what humanity does best." The Explorer disappeared into faster-than-light travel, carrying its mixed crew into the unknown. Behind it, the Alliance station shone like a beacon, promising a future where strength came not from threats or weapons, but from working together. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity had helped make it better.